Sounds to me like you're daunted. Say it again like you're undaunted.
Welcome to the Often Daunted Podcast. I'm your host, Burke White. If you are a returning listener, welcome back to the show. If you are a new listener, you did it. Well done. You've exhausted every option there is out there for Indiana Hoosier content, and you finally found me. I am Burke White. I am the host of the Often Daunted Podcast. This is a labor of love, just one fan and his hobby. On each episode, I will recap the games. In this latest episode, it will be the Indiana Hoosiers West Coast Crusade at the most inopportune time to do so. Like, the fact that we drew the West Coast trip to kick off March, it sucks. It sucks, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on it and Indiana's admirable job splitting that West Coast trip. I'm going to get into that recap as I do on every episode. Start with the recaps. Then it's on to the Indiana news, followed by the conference headlines. Then it's on to this week's Flaunted and the Daunted. For those new to the show, that is the winners and losers of each week, the Flaunted and the Daunted. Following that, it will be Burke's Big Five. That is my five, just a list of mine, personal preferences. This week, it's going to be the Big Five jobs available at the moment. The head coaching positions that I think are the most sought after, the most, they set you up for success. And this Big Five is prompted by the Eyes on College Basketball podcast, this most recent one. They do a great job covering the breadth of college basketball. They truly do. Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander, whatever their thoughts on Kentucky and whatever their bias against Indiana, I appreciate the work they do. That being said, when they were discussing the Indiana job this last episode, they all but said, Indiana's just Willie, scary job. And I don't know if anybody should want to take it. They are pretty much in so many words. And I just wanted to share my top five jobs. Following that, it is a preview. This preview for the Ohio State game, the senior night game, I got to sit down with JR. JR is the host of the Big Ten Huddle. I do frequent, let's call them spots on the Big Ten Huddle as the Indiana basketball representative. Yes, for better or worse. I hope you guys like it. If you do want a night of recap, it's most likely going to happen there that I do it. I'll hop on his show immediately after Indiana games to discuss, like we just did on this Oregon one. If you want to get the recap that we had fresh off that one, feel free to go check out the Big Ten Huddle and go give him a subscribe if you like the show, just because I will do frequent enough appearances on there just to talk Indiana hoops. Now that the tournament is here and Indiana might be in it, yeah, it's going to be a fun time over there. Please go feel free to give him a follow, a subscribe, all the above. Awesome getting to sit down with him and preview his alma mater, the Ohio State game. Following that, it's a Hoosier history hit, getting you out of here quick with that, as we always do. Thank you guys so much. This is the Often Daunted Podcast. It is brought to you in partnership with the College Huddle Network. The College Huddle Network is just a collection of podcasts, football and basketball. Pretty much have a podcast for all the major schools out there. And when I say major, I mean not even major. Like mid-major schools are covered in this network. It is a vast collection. And go check them out everywhere at College Huddle. Let's get right into those recaps. Indiana gets to start their West Coast trip in just utterly business-like fashion with the way they handled Washington, 78-62 in Seattle. Jumped out of the gate just to an early lead and never let up. Even going so far as just Woodson taking the timeouts to keep a 12 to 10-point lead. Like Woodson was doing the little stuff to make sure that this game never got close enough that Washington felt like they had a hope. And that's how you coach against a lesser opponent. You don't give them a chance. You don't give them a shred of hope. And Mike Woodson was using his timeouts. He was doing the small stuff to make sure Indiana wasn't going to give up that lead. Awesome to see Malik Renew in this game. massive bounce back after just the injuries that had plagued them. Coming off the bench, Malik Renew locked in offensively, 22 points in 25 minutes on the floor, 10 for 13 from the floor. He just really moved in space at an elite level throughout this game. There was nothing that the Washington front court that could do to stop what Malik Renew was putting out there. Miles Rice, awesome to get to see him contribute 10 points, including some big-time threes in that Washington matchup. 5 rebounds on top of that. Rice's defense, it's really taken a step. His defense has been crucial to this turnaround that Indiana has found themselves in. Yes, it's coming off the bench. Yes, we thought he was going to be the product of our the catalyst for our fortune this year. That being said, I'm glad he's salvaging something towards the end of this, and he's really starting to put it together. When he is contributing, Indiana is a truly elite team in my mind. It's hard to convince me otherwise. When they're firing on all cylinders, when that roster is living up to its potential, it's dangerous, and Miles Rice is a huge part of that. Was a huge part of that in this one as well. Trey Galloway, absolutely has been the driving force, he's just taken his distributive efforts to the next level. His assist numbers have been climbing drastically, and he gets 7 in this Washington game. Sorry, Washington. Anthony Leo, once again, he just doesn't light up the stat sheet. Doesn't have to. His assist numbers have also been climbing, so he is getting those, but not having the largest plus minus and undoubtedly contributing largely to Indiana's winning basketball right now. Anthony Leal is a must-have on this floor, and he's doing all the little things that contribute to any of the success the Hoosiers are finding. We saw it in full force in that Washington game. Luke Good continued his hot shooting in this Washington matchup, continued to set the tone on the floor as he has. He was the only one attempting at the beginning of the season, and I appreciate everything that Luke Good has brought to this team this year. McKenzie, double-digit production in this one. McKenzie, the following game was a tougher look, but double-digit production here. It's been so touch and go. You're just glad to see some of the shots fall, really. This Washington game, they did fall for him. You thought we could be in for a big one when he hit the very first 3 he took. But nonetheless, even if he isn't getting the big game, it's nice to see that in this one, just the double digit, he hit it. He didn't have to have a boom or bust night. He had he contributed. And it was good to see that here. Again, a little different in the Oregon game, but nice to see that he was able to contribute in this one. One thought I've had while watching this game was how does Indiana's rebounding look so much more dependable, so much more reliable now that they're running a 4-guard lineup? It's Indiana's defensive rebound, offensive rebound, whatever, throughout this game was dominant. And a lot of the times it was the 4-guard lineup. Mike was throwing out different looks it started earlier, but really utilizing it in this Washington game to get advantages. It was excellent use of not going back to, just what has clogged up so much of Indiana finding not consistency. The 2 big lineup with a competent opponent has caused so much problems in just our consistency because so many teams handle it so differently. And it was nice to see the small lineups really get things going for the Hoosiers here. Great Osibor. Just wanted to share a few thoughts on him. Great Osibor, utterly ineffective against Indiana's interior size. 0 for 5 on the night from the floor, ending his night with 4 points from the line. You saw it on his face. It was It's sad. You can't feel too bad for him, all things considered, when you really think about it. But Indiana doing well to limit the star factor on Washington. The cohesion the guys were playing with in this game, superb. Assist numbers, Indiana with 16 in this game, really distributing the ball well. And that is, most in large part with Trey's spike in production, in distributing, and just in him figuring it out. In this game, player of the game, in my mind, was Malik Renew. You got to go with him. 22 points in just 25 minutes on the floor, 10 for 13. Extremely efficient, extremely high production. Great look for a guy off the bench. Yeah, awesome. When these guys are coming off the bench, when they're fresh and they're playing with these smaller lineups, I like the way the Hoosiers look. Indiana doing well to get the 78-62 win over the Washington Huskies in Seattle. All right, let's get on to the Oregon game. Yes, not as much fun for sure. Starting off my Oregon thoughts with just the Oregon floor is the absolute worst. And changing the name from the Webfoots to the Ducks, dumb idea too. The Webfoots is a cool name. I think it has military roots with their local volunteers, and that is a name that plays in my book. The Ducks is a lot weaker. It's a lot less, native, a lot less to the people. I hate that kind of stuff. Webfoots is what it should have been. Webfoots is what it should be. That being said, again, the floor absolutely terrible. I think it's a Big Ten advantage. I think the Big Ten should investigate whether there's a correlation to that being an unfair advantage in the Big Ten. I hate it. Remove it. Play normal. Play on a normal floor. So that's me just getting that out of the way before my real thoughts. Crazy bad way to lose a bet if you took the Hoosiers on that 6.5 point line. Oregon was a 6.5 point favorite. Indiana on a 3-game winning streak heading into this one, having won 4 of their last 5. Oregon heading into this one having won their 5 straight, I believe. Yeah, 5 straight. You're not going to win. It is so tough when you draw Dana Altman in March. It's January, February, Altman. Now that Oregon's in the conference. No disrespect to Izzo. He has some competition for the title now. Altman has his teams ready to go each March, and unfortunately, with the scheduling, we had the short straw. Yeah, this was truly unfortunate timing for Indiana to have to do the West Coast push on the final week of the season. But nonetheless, while it was down here, I was genuinely all right after this one compared to a lot of close Indiana losses. Yes, it was a 73-64 loss. That is the implosion at the end doesn't tell you the story of the game. It was a tight fought game, and I appreciate the way the Hoosiers suited up and really battled. They wanted this one. You could see it. They wanted this one, and unfortunately, yes, you could talk about the officiating. I'm not going to, because I just listened to a Purdue podcast after we beat them, and a lot of complaining about officiating, and it was not great. So I'm not going to be that guy, even though they were actually just jumping my center down low. We're leaving it there. Big Ten hitting sucks. No surprise there. The absolute worst. No surprise there. Indiana, they were in this game relatively early because of Trey Galloway. He was the one keeping it competitive, keeping it close with his mid-range floaters. It was the mid-range floaters. It was the pick and roll game. Trey he's got it clicking right now. And while Oregon was hit or miss throughout this game, yes, they could have done so much more damage. They could have done less. They were hit or miss for sure. Trey Galloway, his ability to finally just take ownership of the offense. He's really stirring the drink well, and yeah, awesome to see him in this game. Let's see. He had to have had 4 assists in this game. Thought he would have had more, but 16 points, 7 of 14 from the floor. Most of those coming from those little floaters. You saw that air ball, force that one a bit. The fadeaway floater, absolutely wild take. But if there's a guy that I want taking that shot, it's Trey Galloway. As outrageous an attempt it is, I still thought there's a chance this is going in. And there's not many people you could say that for. Trey Galloway continues to improve his game here at the best time to do so. Ballo with a monstrous series in this game. I thought he played his ass off. He played hard on his way to a double-double. 10 points, 12 rebounds. 4 of those rebounds coming on the offensive end, including he had a monstrous series, 2 offensive rebounds, and then taking the assist in to finish with that slam. I believe that took the 57-55 lead with 9 minutes left. Indiana was like, it was tough for Ballo to really get going offensively. It was tough because they were double teaming him, but he was able to take advantage of that and time some of his distribution pretty well. Unfortunately, just not well enough in crunch time. The Hoosiers imploded in this one. This game wraps up with a Hoosier implosion. Luckily, we don't have too many more of those that we have to worry about. What do you want to do? Fire our coach? What do you want to do? Fire him? Yeah. In this game, following these small ball lineups, it was surprising because after all the success that Indiana small ball lineups has had, after just everyone being able to say, see, we should have been doing it the whole time. Indiana's success in this game was fueled by 2 big lineups. It was strange. It was strange. After we had finally got it all clicking with the 4-ball lineups, it was Indiana throwing the 2 bigs out, really kept them going and that they were running the 2 big lineups at Indiana's most momentum seizing moments, their most momentum seizing runs. Like that 13-2 run in the later part of the first half, that was the 2 bigs on the floor. Late into the first, credit to Kanon Carlisle, just for being able to make timely shots to keep the Hoosiers in it competitively. Like that was something we didn't have, or we figured we couldn't count on that. I just really hope that he is putting it together and that is something we can count on in this month, the most important month to be able to hit the 3. Kanon Carlisle, great job putting it together. 2 for 5 from deep. Well done getting back into the groove there. Nate Biddle, like Dana Altman, just throughout this whole game, I was just thinking, man, Dana Altman has a type. Tall, long, athletic as hell, can shoot the ball. Like Nate Biddle, he established quickly that his offense would be like spot up and athletic compared to just the brutish nature of Ballo or just the slower, more methodical nature of Malik. Jackson Shellstad just showing off his insane quickness on that one play. He got down the floor in 4 seconds. Anthony Leal, possible Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year if they didn't care about stats. Yeah, absolutely blew by him. Jackson Shellstad with the huge clutch 3-pointer to pretty much seal it, put Indiana in panic mode, and really get us to implode. That shot was major. TJ Bamba, insane athleticism. That guy defensively is special. Field just he was involved in so much of what Oregon was doing right here. It is crazy how much they can switch anywhere on the floor, any position. They're crazy athletic, and Dana Altman has those guys clicking right now. Yeah. And my last note on the game is, again, you can blame officiating. I won't blame them for jumping Ballo. I won't blame them for just the absolutely absurd free throw discrepancy. You're going to 7-21. That's Zach Edey numbers. Get out of here. Yeah, absolutely absurd. Disappointing to see, but yeah, nonetheless, I was proud with the way the Hoosiers handled themselves out west. You know, they showed a lot of fight in Eugene, Oregon. When everything in November, everything in December should have painted this trip to go a lot differently. I credit the Hoosiers for being able to respond and split the week. With that in the books, and with the 73-64 defeat of the Indiana Hoosiers at the hand of the Oregon Ducks, we will get you on into the Indiana news. Oh, you want to play? Yeah, player of the game on that one. We're going to go with Trey Galloway. 16 points, 7 for 14, 2 for 4 from deep. He's finding it. He is finding it from range. And like more so than any season prior, he's hunting it as well. Glad to see it all is clicking. Yeah, just wish we could have had some clutch moments from the team as a whole. It was an implosion of the highest order in decision makings down the line. But yeah, those are gone. Those are soon to be gone, and there's nothing we can do about it, so let's just move on to the Indiana. Starting off the Hoosier headlines with Indiana swimming and diving with a point margin of 431. Yes, that 431 is good for the largest margin in Big Ten history. The Indiana Hoosiers have won its 4th straight Big Ten championship. That over the course of this last meet, the Big Ten finals, Indiana was able to take home 11 championships, 26 medals in total, and multiple records were shattered. And when I say like multiple records, it's multiple. It's a dozen records were shattered by Hoosiers. And like Indiana was going final heats, 1 through 5 wins. Like it was, I don't have to know anything about swimming to know athletic dominance and to appreciate the fact that the Hoosiers are the ones doing it. Love it. Love to see it. Indiana women's basketball makes it 13 in a row over the Purdue Boiler Ladies. Will be taking on Oregon today. If you're watching this on Thursday, if you're listening to this on Thursday at noon, that will be in Cambridge as part of the Big Ten tournament. Good luck to the ladies. Let's have a deep run here. I know we're like the 9 seed. It's going to be tough. I mean, all the competition has taken so many steps up. But, yeah, go get them, ladies. You're at home. It's a home game for you. Congrats to Yarden Garzon. Yarden Garzon has been named to the 2nd team, all Big Ten team. Chloe and Sydney, both with honorable mentions. Credit to the ladies. Well done. Indiana's been looking better in the numbers since our last time of recording, since our recording a few weeks ago. Indiana has jumped up to number 43 overall in the net. I mean, that's just such a breath of fresh air compared to just when I thought we were doing good last year, seeing no movement in the net. Just I appreciate seeing positive momentum there, like for once in just so long. Well done. Trey Galloway is the first Hoosier since the great Yogi Ferrell to have 100 assists in 2 consecutive seasons. Of course, Yogi did it 4 times back when they called 4 years a career. He did it 4 times in 4 years. Absolutely insane. Yogi Ferrell was the best. Awesome to get to be on campus when that guy was here. Also in company and now surpassing Yogi in one column, that is games played. Trey Galloway now has the Indiana record for career appearances with 138 following the Oregon game. Taking Yogi's record like that, yeah, there are a lot of factors, including COVID, extra seasons. I mean, they both have the record, in my opinion. Like, you can't touch Yogi's record unless that's natural record right there. I mean, Trey deserves credit, but not like Yogi did it. Yeah. Outside the steroid era, if you will. On to Indiana's latest bubble outlook. right now, Joe Lunardi has Indiana as one of his last 4 buys. The rest of the bubble is made up. The last 4 buys, the rest of those are Baylor, San Diego State, and Georgia. His last 4 in are Ohio State, Arkansas, Nebraska, and Boise State. The first 4 out would be Oklahoma, Xavier, North Carolina, and Texas. The next 4 out would be SMU, Cincinnati, Villanova, and Wake Forest. Jerry Palm with CBS currently has Indiana as a 10 seed in his bracket, taking on St. Mary's. Yeah, last time we played St. Mary's, that was utterly embarrassing. Hopefully, if that was a matchup that the Hoosiers had here, we could see a different outcome. Absolutely. God. Bubble odds. Currently, Vegas has put out their bubble odds. Teams on the bubble, what are their odds to make it in? Indiana listed among some of the teams that you can take. Indiana, Ohio State, North Carolina, Xavier. I just wanted to share them for you guys to get a nice idea of who Vegas thinks is getting in. So Indiana right now is at negative 220. So you put $220 down to win 100. Okay. Ohio State, you got to put 195 down to win 100. North Carolina, you got to put 130 down to win 100. Xavier, you got to, it's even money there. So out of those 4 schools, Indiana is the best, has the best odds to make the NCAA tournament out of those that I had listed. I just wanted to share just that for a little bit so you can take what solace you can in it. Yeah. I mean, this was a quick turnaround since our last episode. I think it was 5 days. So not that much Indiana news for you. Let's get right into the conference news, the news around the nation. All right, so Kansas is going down, and I wanted to take my time and throw some dirt on that grave, okay? After the Kansas Jayhawks had said, it's time to bounce back, they had a win about a week ago. They are currently back on a 2-game losing streak. Yes, it was to the number 10 Texas Tech Red Raiders, 78-73, but that was in the fog. That isn't normal of Kansas to be losing those games. Kansas also fell to number 3 Houston, 65-59 in Houston. I just wanted to share that because, I don't wish well on that program. So, Kansas going down. Awesome to see. Our enemies are growing stronger. Maryland has received a $10 million donation for the priorities of the men's basketball program. This donation was made anonymously, and I have to say that rules. That rules for them. $10 million anonymous donations can do a whole lot for a basketball program. And look out for Maryland next NIL circuit. If they made the donation through the university to the program, does that go to the players, or does that money have to go into facilities? That is my question. That's the question that immediately came to mind with that. Other news, props to Juwan Howard. Honest to God, if anybody's been following this show for a while, you know that Juwan Howard is one of the ultimate villains of the Often Daunted podcast. That guy throws a hell of a hook. And I respect the villainy a whole lot. But props to him for being able to turn the other cheek, make his return to Michigan, and embrace his son, Jace Howard, on Jace Howard's senior night. He honestly also embraced Dusty May. Crazy to see that happen so quickly in Ann Arbor last weekend. Props to him for swallowing that pill. So far in the Big Ten tournament, yes, as we all know, there are teams being cut. So far, the teams in the field are Wisconsin, UCLA, Purdue, Oregon, Michigan State, Michigan, Maryland, Indiana, and Illinois. Those are the teams that have clinched so far, with just 1 or 2 games left in the season. It's getting brutal for the bottom of the conference. Thank God we can say we did not miss the first expanded Big Ten tournament. That is going to be a shame for those programs. On to the Big Ten Weekly Awards. This week, the player of the week was Nick Martinelli. Nick Martinelli had 22.5 points on the week and 7 rebounds per game, while shooting 47.1 from the field and leading Northwestern to a pair of wins this week. The freshman of the week was Jace Richardson of MSU. 6'3" guard, absolutely lighting it up. Averaged 13 points this week, 6.5 rebounds, and 3 assists, as the Spartans were able to net in a pair of top 20 wins. He is on fire. That team's on fire. And much like the Oregon Ducks were, like, they are clicking at the right time to do so. All right, that is all the headlines I have for you. On to the Flaunted and the Daunted for the week. Starting off your Flaunted with some Hoosier love. Malik Renew in his bounce back game after hospitalization. He goes into Seattle. Yeah, goes into Seattle. You know, not as efficient in Oregon, but we don't need to talk about that. That's not why he's flaunted. He's flaunted for the Seattle game. Playing with a high motor throughout, again, able to go 10 for 13 on the night, 22 points in 22 points in only 25 minutes. Awesome return for our big man. Awesome to see Malik be able to make the flaunted list for the week. Flaunted Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo keeps finding a way to win. Keeps winning when I thought at the end of last season the game had finally passed him by. Boy, was I wrong, as he goes on to win the Big Ten. Also flaunted Oregon in March. Welcome to the Big Ten, Dana Altman, and I think you're going to be a problem. Winners of 6 straight, heading into March, heading into the best time to be just on fire. Oregon. Yeah, wrong time to be heading out west. Thanks again for the draw, schedule makers. Lastly, on the flaunted for the week is Fernando Mendoza's rocket arm. Yes, we finally got live action footage of our guy, the QB1 in Bloomington. Fernando Mendoza taking snaps in Bloomington. Awesome to see. Now on to the Daunted. The Daunted of the week starts with Big Ten officiating. They were just on the flaunted last week. You know, but they were letting Ballo get mugged. They just have had just the craziest games, and now it's so characteristically awful. You can set your watch to terrible officiating. Steve Peichel, absolutely daunted. Rutgers gets destroyed in Mackey, and when I say destroyed, I mean destroyed. A superstar moment wasted for NBA players. The problem with this Rutgers team is when you have NBA talent like that and you want to have more, like, they have to have an NBA showcase game. I feel like these freshmen haven't. There are games that, like, NBA top 5 freshmen we had one. Jalen Hood-Schifino won us a Purdue game. And for some reason, despite how just naturally gifted the supporting cast of Rutgers has not made it possible for there to be a moment that these two superstars have, you know, really stolen the game, stolen the attention, stolen the win. And it's been like, wow. You guys know the type of moments I'm talking about if you've watched college basketball long enough. 3 more, actually. Next up is Washington and Penn State. Washington and Penn State together because they are out for sure, with either USC or Iowa still left to join them, possibly Rutgers, but looks like USC or Iowa is going to be joining them as the 3 teams left out of the first expanded Big Ten basketball tournament. And lastly, on the daunted list, if you've been around the show long enough, you know they're probably going for 11, and in fact, they did. Purdue football with a record 11th appearance on the daunted list. Wow, man, they need to get that win and really get off this list. On to Burke's Big Five. Burke's Big Five coaching vacancies. These are the jobs that I think are the best right now that are coming available or are available at the moment. First off is number 5, Virginia. Yes, you might think it should be higher. I think Virginia is number 5. I mean, I'll show you the rest of them, but There's reasonings behind my madness. Very respectable position. Tony Bennett left the job better than he found it. Absolutely. And anybody would be lucky to have that one. Top 5 job available. Absolutely. Is it over Indiana? Not a chance. You know what else isn't over Indiana? That's your number 4. That is Utah. Yes, Utah above Virginia. I am only putting Utah above Virginia right now out of pure projection because for some reason, these dudes in Utah, these dudes are high. They have money hidden, and they're finally breaking it out, and they are buying basketball players. Utah, next year they could have a squad just because they found money. They found NIL resources, and they went out and bought one. I think that is a awesome resource to have. I think that in the right hands, the war chest of Utah could be very dangerous. Number 4, Utah. Number 3, Miami. Much like the Utah position, but even more so. Number 3, Miami. The war chest is massive. The war chest is it's ridiculous. Miami's got the money. They're willing to spend it. It's just a matter of having the right guy making the decisions on where it's going. And I think that is the 3rd best job available right now. Not open, but I think it's pretty much open is my number 2. That is Texas. I think Texas is the 2nd best job available. Awesome, just stable program, awesome fan base. Not as much pressure as Indiana, as a lot of people like to discuss about. It's an awesome. You're going to have all the resources you need to win if you can do it right. Texas, great opportunity for anybody wanting to take it at the number 2 on my spot right now, on my list. Number 1, Indiana. I will not be told otherwise. Indiana is the best job in the nation. It might not be the safest. It might not be the cushiest. It might not be, put your feet up. But if you got the medal, this is the best. Where else would you want to win? Who is going to appreciate your winning as much as, I guess people can appreciate losing. But if you win here, you're immortal, to an extent that you aren't anywhere else. And, what comes with the Indiana job is a crazy amount of resources, a crazy dedication from the fan base, and a crazy opportunity to leave just a legacy the size that you can't anywhere else. That's why it's the number 1 job available. Are you kidding me? Legacy. And if you can't, okay, worry about the small stuff like job security. Sweat job security. Man, go out there, build a legacy, do something great. Take the Indiana job. Duh. That was Burke's Big 5. On to my preview of the Ohio State game with JR. Again, awesome getting to sit down with him. If you haven't subscribed to the Big Ten Huddle, go subscribe there. I am on there frequently enough, just bull crapping about Indiana basketball. Really fun times on there. Go check them out. And right into that. So. All right, I just got done with my guest appearance on the Big Ten Huddle. The best, just every team covered, Big Ten coverage you can get out there with my buddy JR. Having him on here as the Ohio State representative, previewing the upcoming game Saturday, 3:45 on CBS. JR, can't appreciate it enough having you on. How have things been going, man?
Been great. Ohio State got their win over Nebraska, and it put a few extra years on my life, but that's okay. It makes the game against Indiana that much more interesting, so I'm excited to watch it. Should be a good one.
A few extra years on your life, hopefully a few extra miles on their legs. We'll get into it. Senior night for the Indiana Hoosiers hosting Ohio State. Indiana with the chance to really cement their ticket into the big dance. Ohio State with a chance to cement their ticket into the big dance. The Big Ten schedule makers they've blessed us to the start of this March. These games mean something on both ends of the standings. And this one absolutely means it all. A team is comfortable after this game ends. One team or the other. And the other one will be sweating come selection. But yeah, right now we have Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, and Luke Good all giving speeches. But that hopefully will come on the tail of a matchup with the number 32 Ken Palm ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. They currently have the adjusted offense at 31 and the adjusted defense at 43. JR, just a general snapshot. I like to just see an overview of the Ohio State Buckeye season as an Ohio State fan. Oh, before I get into it, JR, I do want to say everybody who does listen to this show, he's a good one. Okay. He has family ties to the Hoosiers. In-laws are Hoosier fans, so he gets it. He gets the mentality. He understands that we aren't lunatics. We're just tired. Okay. So yeah,
I mean, it's called Often Daunted for a reason.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. JR, what are your thoughts on Ohio State as a whole? Like your outlooks on the beginning of the season, where are you guys at now compared to those?
Yeah, my outlook on the beginning of the season has been pretty solid on the team, even though they've gone through a lot of changes and a lot has happened to them. Faced a lot of adversity this year. The core of the team has pretty much remained, which is this is a team that shoots a lot of 3-pointers, and if they make those 3-pointers and they shoot over 35%, they have a very good chance of winning. If they shoot over 40%, they can beat anybody in the country, as evidence of beating Kentucky and Purdue. This is also a team, though, that if they shoot less than 30%, I mean, Northwestern can beat you by 20. So, like, this is kind of what Ohio State fans are living and dying with Ohio State. And I mean, there's been multiple people who have said, and I tend to agree to a certain extent, you can't really figure out this Ohio State team out. They brought in Michi Johnson, who was one of the best players in the SEC last year, and he played for about a month or two, and he was just awful. He was awful for Ohio State, had an awful year, and eventually he just left the team. Nobody knew why, nothing was said why, and after he left, Ohio State got better. And you give some credit there to Jake Diebler, first-year head coach. I didn't want Diebler to be the guy, not because I didn't like Diebler. I really like him, but I just didn't feel like you need to go with a first-year head coach. I felt like this is Ohio State. This is a Big Ten team. I mean, I know Indiana fans wouldn't be happy.
Yeah, no, you weren't wrong to think that. You weren't wrong to think that. I as an Indiana fan, I think the Ohio State job is more prestigious than. I mean, no offense to him, but you gotta.
Yeah, no.
You have the weight to hire proven.
Right, and although he did do a very good job at the end of the last season, it's just kind of bonkers that you fire a coach in the middle of the season and then you hire his top assistant. Like, even though he did beat Purdue last year, which we're finding out that that's kind of what this Ohio State team is this year. Went on a really, really good run last year, and this Ohio State team is going to go on some good runs and beat some teams they're not supposed to beat, but they're also going to lose to some teams they aren't supposed to lose to. I don't know where Indiana falls in that category. I think these are two very evenly matched teams. I think both of them have concerns with their head coaches. I think both of them have concerns with some of their role players. But at the end of the day, to me, this game is going to be won in the matchup between Bruce Thornton, Micah Parrish, John Mobley Jr., Devin Royal versus Uma Ballo, Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, and insert whatever fourth player you want to put for Indiana, because they're going to put Anthony Leal on probably Bruce Thornton or Micah Parrish, and he's going to shut him down, give him a really good defensive effort, and Ohio State's going to have to find somebody else to go to between that top 3 or 4 guys, which has been successful for him. But again, if they don't shoot well, it's probably not going to go well for him.
Yeah, I mean, there are all those what ifs, but a lot of what does alleviate the pains and the pressures for the Buckeye team is having Bruce Thornton as just most dependable piece. When you have the main ball, your primary ball handler as the most dependable piece, more often than not, that seems like it can kind of figure itself out for the better.
As long as Bruce Thornton shows up, yes. I don't know if you saw that Michigan game, but he did have the ball in his hand, and he had an open floater that he just airballed. And, like that's kind of the hard part, right? When you have a guy you rely on so much as your ball handler, eventually he's going to make a mistake at some point. And unfortunately, that mistake can happen at the very end of the game. And that's what happened for him against Michigan. We'll see what the outlook looks like this time. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't like the matchup of an Anthony Leal versus Bruce Thornton. I think that's a bad matchup for Ohio State, and I think that Anthony Leal is one of the best defensive players in the Big Ten.
Yes, please go check out the Big Ten Huddle to hear JR wax poetic about Anthony Leal on this last episode. Really, he understands that it isn't always about the box score. The defense shows up in between the lines.
I mean, when you are able to slide into the lane from guarding a threatening 3-point shooter, it's stuff like that box score watchers aren't going to see.
Exactly.
You watch this guy play. He is fantastic. I don't know why he didn't start playing until this season. I get it. He's not exactly the most measurable, most athletic guy in the world. I get it, but dude just knows how to play defense. It's crazy.
Yeah, you guys want your Big Ten perspective from JR, I'm telling you. But Ohio State's Micah Parrish, just crazy stat on him right now. He's the only active player with more than 1,500 career points, 200 3-pointers, 200 steals, and 750 rebounds right now. He is the other deep threat, right, for any Hoosiers to look out for?
Yeah, the interesting thing with Ohio State and their deep threats, they're not really catch and shoot guys so much. Like Mobley is, they'll run some action for him with off ball screens. But you put the right guy on him, and Ohio State, they don't really have the bigs to set those screens very well. Like Aaron Bradshaw, he's 7'1", but he's a stick. He's not strong enough to be setting those ball screens. Devin Royal, he's strong, but he's only 6'6". They're playing him at the 5 sometimes. I do not look forward to a matchup between Devin Royal and Umar Ballo. Umar Ballo is going to eat his lunch to get offensive rebounds. In fact, this could be a game we just talked about on the last episode against Oregon where we didn't really like that Malik Renew and Umar Ballo were playing together as much as they were. We liked it for times. But I could see Woodson going to the Renew Ballo matchup in this one just because Sean Stewart's going to foul out playing less than 20 minutes in this game. And you're going to have to put Bradshaw at the 5, and he's so weak, Umar Ballo is just going to break him in half.
Oh, yeah. If everything is planned right, that needs to just be Indiana spam to death on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as I'm concerned, like I said, you have Devin Royal playing the 4, sometimes playing the 5 in a small ball lineup. And he can hit threes, but he's not an effective enough 3-point shooter to where the small ball lineup is going to take Umar Ballo out of the game.
I love it. I do feel like this is a favorable matchup for the Hoosiers. But Bruce Thornton is liable to have a hero game. He's a player that absolutely can do that. Devin Royal might just go lights out from deep. All of these things are liable to happen in Assembly Hall because we've seen it all.
Really, that's what you're hoping for as an Ohio State fan. And I know this is an Indiana podcast, but if you're an Ohio State fan, you're not hoping for much else other than a hero game. And you have 4 guys that can be the hero. Bruce Thornton, not Roddy Gale. Jeez, he plays for Michigan now. Bruce Thornton, John Mobley Jr., Devin Royal, or Micah Parrish. One of those guys needs to be the hero in this game. And if not, Indiana's going to win this game. But if one of them can be the hero and open things up for other guys, Ohio State has a shot.
All right, you got a score?
Ohio State's playing so bad on defense right now. Indiana has cut down their pace a little bit. I will say 78-75 Indiana.
All right, a close one on senior day. JR, I can't thank you enough. You guys, we're wrapping up late here. It is now 12:47 Eastern time because we just wrapped up recording a recap of the 3 games from tonight. If you guys would like, please go check out everything JR's got going on the Big Ten Huddle. I think he just started up the basketball channel. Go follow the basketball channel. Hit it with a subscribe. I'm appearing on there as the Indiana representative for better or worse. But it's just been a ton of fun. And, episodes are fun. Great time. Go check him out. JR, where else can everyone get you? Any messages? Like, send it out.
Yeah, man, just on X, we got a good amount of content over there. Try to put stuff out at least once a day. And then, YouTube, that's the biggest place. We got a basketball channel. We got a football channel too. And we have good reviews from Indiana fans on our football content because we were one of the few, me and Zach, we were one of the few that believed in Indiana from the beginning last year. That Western Illinois game, I said this Indiana team is different. And people called me crazy because they said, well, it was an FCS, stupid, Western Illinois. I said, yeah, I've seen Indiana play stupid FCS teams before.
Yeah,
it didn't look like that, and they ended up going to the playoffs. So I felt pretty vindicated in that one.
Absolutely, like I said, you guys, he gets it. He gets it. Go check him out. Thank you so much, JR. Let's just call it a night because it is way too late. And West Coast basketball is something we're all getting used to.
Yeah, West Coast basketball on the East Coast. I was not a fan of it tonight.
Yeah, Columbus that game was in Columbus.
For real.
Jeez. Good night, brother. See ya. For your Hoosier history hit, I wanted to take a look at inventor Robert Frank Borkenstein. Now, this is a guy that some of you might hate, but if you do, take a look in the mirror. Okay, this guy provided a very necessary device that it keeps millions safe, keeps millions of people breathing. So take it easy. This guy is best known for inventing the breathalyzer. Robert F. Borkenstein was born in Fort Wayne, Indiana on August 31st, 1912. He graduated from high school during the beginning of the Great Depression, and due to other financial issues and constraints, he was unable to continue his education in college. He would find employment in working in Fort Wayne as a photographic technician, where he developed an expertise in color film, leading to his invention of the color camera. In 1936, because of his skills and his creativity, Borkenstein was hired by the Indiana State Police Criminology Laboratory. Rising through the ranks quickly, Borkenstein went from working as a clerk to captain and in charge of laboratory services. Laboratory services. Throughout this time with the Indiana State Police, he helped improve the use of photography in law enforcement and assisted in the creation of the polygraph machine. This dude is a criminal justice invention magnet. Yeah, let's say that. He is a whiz with it. While working with the Indiana State Police, Borkenstein developed a close professional relationship with Professor Rolla and Hager of the Indiana School of Medicine. Hager was working to develop the drunkometer. Yeah, that's how it's pronounced. Yes, drunkometer, which would be the first practical instrument of breath alcohol analysis developed in 1938. However, the drunkometer was complicated and had low reliability. So Borkenstein decided to continue to work and develop a more reliable device. In 1954, Borkenstein created what is commonly known as the breathalyzer. This version was a more compact and easier to operate breath test machine, which produced reliable results concerning blood alcohol content, a revolutionary invention that aided the ability of traffic enforcement officials to identify and prosecute drivers under the influence of alcohol. The breathalyzer was commercially produced and adopted in law enforcement agencies throughout the country and world. During the 1950s, Borkenstein attended Indiana University on a part-time basis, earning his Bachelor of Arts in Forensic Science in 1958. During the same year as his graduation from IU, he retired from the Indiana State Police and joined the university faculty as chairman of the Department of Police Administration, a newly established department. A unique program during its time that also continued to develop during the Borkenstein tenure. In 1971, Borkenstein became the director of the IU Center for Studies of Law in Action, which went on to offer a recurring Robert F. Borkenstein course on alcohol and highway safety, testing, research, and litigation for forensic science, law enforcement, and criminal justice professionals. In March 1987, Borkenstein retired, though he continued to hold emeritus titles as both a professor and director of the Center for Studies of Law in Action. Woo! Longer one for you today. Nonetheless, a Hoosier worth shining a light on. The guy keeping our roads safe nowadays, keeping the drunks on Uber. Robert F. Borgenstein, the inventor of the breathalyzer. Let's get you on out of here. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Wherever you are getting this, thank you. I have been Burke White, your host of the Often Daunted Podcast. I will be back here previewing the Big Ten tournament, heading into all that. Keep a lookout. If you like the show, leave a review, subscribe. If you feel like you have anything you can contribute to the show, have an idea for a Hoosier history hit, have an idea for a segment that I should do, have something that I should bring up, feel free to reach out to me across all socials at Often Daunted. You can also reach out to me at email directly. That is oftendaunted@gmail.com. Again, I just want any of your input. The motto, the mantra of this show is each one better than the last. And that might take some input from you guys. So I appreciate any and all of it. I hope you and yours have a great one. God bless you and yours. Take it easy, Hoosier fans. Lux et Veritas, down with the Buckeyes.